So we're at that point in January where the goals you set on New Year's Eve can suddenly seem a long time ago. Perhaps your enthusiasm for alcohol-free living or dry January or whatever sober goal you're working towards, perhaps that has started to wane a little bit now. So in this video, I want to share 3 quick tips to help you stay focused, stay motivated, and stay in the right frame of mind. Because if you've been struggling, now is a really good time to just get back on it. And if things have been going well, then great. Let's make sure you keep it that way. Remember that early sobriety is the hardest bit of quitting drinking. So for that reason, you don't want to keep repeating those difficult early days over and over. So you want to find a way to stick with this long enough to get into a rhythm and a routine and onto the really good bit of alcohol-free living. So without further ado, my first tip is to find some inspiring quotes or affirmations and put them in places that you're going to see them often. So let me share a few of my favorites with you. Sobriety delivers everything alcohol promised. I love that one. No one ever regrets waking up without a hangover. It's true. I am going to be so happy I didn't settle for an unhappy relationship with alcohol. And this one, drinking steals happiness from tomorrow. So you could write these affirmations out on sticky notes and put them up in places that will catch your attention, or you could type them into your phone as reminders so they ping up at different times. And it's not just affirmations that you can do this with. Perhaps you've got a really powerful reason for stopping drinking that's inspiring, or it makes you stop and think, and it feels good to just be reminded of that and reconnect with it. However you do it, you want to make sure that these things are visible and you see them often, because it's one thing intellectually knowing this stuff or having it written in a journal somewhere, but it's also very easy to close a journal and forget about it. I mean, personally, I set some goals for the first quarter of this year. There are 3 things that I wanted to focus on. And the other day, when a friend asked me how they were going, I couldn't actually remember all 3 of them off the top of my head. And I don't have a bad memory, far from it. I just hadn't really thought about them or reconnected with them in a while. And I think that if I can forget what some of my goals are in the space of a few weeks, then I bet you have forgotten some of the reasons why you're going alcohol-free. My second tip is to give your unhelpful thoughts a voice and a personality. So what I'm talking about here is that voice in your head that says, oh, just have a drink. Just have one today and then you can get back on it tomorrow. Or, it's been a long day. You deserve a drink. So you know the kind of stuff I mean, because it's that stuff that's hard to ignore because it sounds so reasonable and persuasive. One thing you can do here is to imagine that these thoughts are coming from someone who you know doesn't have your best interests at heart. Maybe it's someone from work or someone who you used to be friends with, who you know would be quite happy to see you mess up, actually. Because when you picture these sort of convincing thoughts coming from someone like that, it does change your perspective on this. Because suddenly you know that those thoughts trying to convince you to have a drink, they're not coming from someone who wants to give you a break or who cares about you. Drinking and giving up on your goals isn't a kind thing to do for yourself, and someone who wants the best for you wouldn't want you to do that. My third tip is to spend 10 minutes a day investing in your sobriety by engaging with things that make alcohol-free living easier. So that could look like you watching some of my blog videos, or reading a book about alcohol-free living, or listening to a podcast, or searching for inspiring posts on Instagram. Whatever you decide to do, just jump into it for 10 minutes with the attitude of, all right, what can I learn from this? That gets your brain looking for the good stuff, and you will find it even in 10 minutes. And I know that a part of you might feel a bit resistant, especially right now during dry January, when it can seem as if everyone else is finding it easy or no big deal. That isn't the case. The fact is that alcohol is an addictive drug. It's a crutch and a coping mechanism for many people. And when you decide that you want to upgrade your life by not relying on alcohol for that stuff, yeah, it can take a bit of work. And in all other areas of life, when you're learning something or trying to improve, you wouldn't hesitate to invest time and energy in working out how to do it right. The same goes for not drinking. The other thing to watch out for here is your brain telling you that you haven't got 10 minutes a day to invest in sobriety. But honestly, if you've got time to get to this point in this video, then you have got a few minutes to spare each day. Plus, alcohol-free living will save you time in the long run, because you won't lose all those hours drinking, thinking about drinking, managing your drinking, or beating yourself up about it. So those are my 3 quick tips to see you through the last week of January. And if you've got any tips that are really working for you right now, let me know in the comments below, as I'm sure there are plenty of other people here who would love to hear about them and find it really useful. And let me finish with this. If you have battled your way through this month and you can't wait for the 1st of February so you can drink again, that's no problem. But I would suggest you watch my blog next week before you crack open the booze again, because I'm going to be sharing some important things to think about, and I think it will really help you in the long term and throughout the rest of this year. So check that out next Monday. Have a good week, and I'll speak to you then.